Greetings, popping comrades, and welcome to Sokpop season! Over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at 8 different Sokpop games. Now, if you don't know, Sokpop is a game development collective. They're really cool. They make small games at a regular pace, like a pretty fast pace. And a lot of these games are really small, really cute, really nice. And we are going to check out one of their very first games. This is the second game that they ever released. I could not find the first one. Might be hidden from the world. So we are going to check out Jut? We don't know. Let's hunt. What are we? We're a little thing. Crisps. Oh, but do we put it in our water bottle? Crisps. Gimme. Oh, we're a little trash monster on the beach. Do I use any keys? I think I just walk. Oh, give me my crisps. Oh, we're just cleaning the beach. Is there a trash can? Oh. Oh, wow. The steps are so... It's a bit slow. Can I speed my walking up? Oh, there's a trash can. Oh, no. Wait, let's see if we can deliver something onto that trash can. Let's just bring one of them. Maybe it'll be fine. Are you a trash can? What are you? Okay, take the water bottle. Yeah! Oh, how do we turn? Can we put that on? Is that a hat? That orange thing? I think this would be really zen if the walking was a bit faster. Maybe it is zen. Maybe I'm just not in a zen. I just had a coffee. Can I put the hat on? No! Okay, I don't think we could put the hat on. Come on. Let's go. Maybe I'm not pressing the right buttons. Sokpop games are often a little bit sort of vague in there. They just let you figure them out. I say all this, I've only ever played, I think maybe 1 or 2 Sokpop games. I've always wanted to play more, and so this is why we're doing Sokpop season. Because I actually bought like 10 of them. Now, I've already done a Sokpop game before here on this channel for sure. There's a game called Simmiland, and I have a couple videos of that actually. They're pretty fun. So if you would like, you can check out that as well. Have a couple Simmiland videos, and I think they're all pretty neat. There's even one with no commentary if you're ever just wanting some noises. Some noises to appear. Okay, this is nice. This is enjoyable. There's a fence. Can we walk over to the grass? I'm just a little creature. I like a little webbed foot. That's nice. Hello? What are you? We might not be able to walk into the grass, but we can try. There's an opening there. Okay, the steps are actually kind of satisfying. What's that? It's a tire. Well, I can't clean that up. I'm sorry. It's too big. Oh no, my hand is under it. Oh, we're zooming in. Oh. I wonder how this is made. This is in Game Maker. I know this because when I did the capture on OBS, right, to record it, it says that it's Game Maker's engine, essentially. So this is made in Game Maker, which I remember doing Game Maker maybe 25 years ago. I'm kind of dating myself, but I was a child. I was a young child doing stuff in Game Maker, and let me tell you, we couldn't do any of this. Back then, the best you could do is make a little sprite and make it move. Actually, there were some pretty cool games made in Game Maker even then. I didn't understand how variables function. I remember me and my brother, who was 6 years older, so I don't know what his excuse was, but I was like 8 years old, you know? We would find other games that were like example projects, and we saw that there were variable names like key, door, and so on. So we thought that variables were like that the names were predetermined, you just had to know them. Because if you just typed in whatever name, right, it would be like, this variable wasn't found. We didn't know that what we were doing was we were comparing a variable that wasn't declared yet. So we just kind of copied the existing code, understanding that, like, if you just did the code, like, declaring the variable for door, then you would be able to have a door. What is that? A shark egg? Do we want to put that in the water? Go in the water, shark egg. Be free. Maybe the seaweed also belongs in the sea and not in the trash. I hope I'm doing it right. I hope I didn't just pollute the oceans. No, shark egg. Okay. You're coming with me, shark egg. I'm sorry. How many trashes can you pick up before you explode? Let's go back to the trash can. Where's the trash can? Also, can we go further up? Is there further up? But yeah, I remember, so we would use certain variables in order to just do stuff. Like, I think there was another variable that we knew that you could use bullet, but like you can use anything. So if you don't know, but I think most people know by now, if you're into games, like a variable is essentially just, it can be anything. So you declare a variable. When you're making games in object-oriented programming, it's like usually focused around like a specific object, and then the object will have certain, I'm explaining this so poorly, will have certain traits, like a piece of code essentially attached to it. And you can have essentially you could declare variables. So variables are almost, you can look at them. How do we explain this if you're not a programmer? Because a programmer, any of you who are into this stuff, you know what a variable is. But I'm just trying to think of, like, I guess a variable is like a trait, right? So, for example, if you would have a human being, you would kind of have a couple ways that you could describe this human being. So, like, you have a human being, they have like an eye color and a hair color and a hair length. And you could define those as variables. And that's basically how it works in programming. So even without object-oriented programming, really, like the very first thing you can do if you take like a software development or programming course is they'll have you like declare a variable. Well, the first thing they'll have you do is print hello world. But then they'll be like, okay, you declare an integer. An integer is any number that's a whole number. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, like the numbers we use for counting, that's an integer. And then you declare another integer, and then you can like add them together, or subtract them, or do whatever. And so when you declare a variable, you could just give them any name. How did we get on this tangent? So you can go like, oh, you know, variable A, variable B, like in math. When you're doing a math lesson, it can be like x times 3 equals 9, find x. And you could say that you declared your variable as x. But in programming, much like in math, what happened to my leg? What's going on with my leggy? You can do anything you want with that variable. It doesn't have to be X, it can be sponge. Variable sponge is 3, and variable mushroom is 7. And then you go sponge plus mushroom. But we didn't know that as kids. That's my long-winded way of saying we had no idea how any of that worked. This was the worst explanation of variables ever, which is particularly awful because I'm a game developer. I'm retired from game development, you know? I'm a former game developer. I don't do that anymore. But yeah, so basically as kids, we just thought that there were some like preset keywords that you needed to know. And if you didn't know them, you couldn't do it, which is not how it works. But I have fond memories. I remember we made a platformer. It had about like an hour of gameplay. New stuff. What's that? A sea star? Give me that sea star, baby. Give me that sea star. Well, she belongs in the ocean, right? Can I swim? Oh, maybe the shark egg should have just gone deeper. Is a sea star the same as a starfish? I think it is, right? We call them sea stars as well. I know in English they're called a star. Look at us wading. That's cute. Don't get washed up, baby. Sink to the bottom. We used to get starfish at the seaside where I would be as a kid, and then we would actually pick them. And this was in the 90s, so nobody can the statute of limitations is already over, okay? I cannot be found liable for this. But we would put them on dry land, and you would put them on like an anthill or something, and the ants would pick it clean so that then you could take the little dried starfish home. And only later did we learn that starfish are protected. So, don't do it, kids. Don't do it. But the ants were really effective at cleaning it. So whenever you found like a shell, like a clam or something, you put it on an anthill, and then you return the next day, and you're like, oh, nice. It is sparkling clean. Now that I think of it, it's kind of good that they don't have a central nervous system, huh? Just imagine being eaten alive by ants. Jesus Christ. But yeah, so that was a nice memory that I remember, and I think we might still have them somewhere in a box in the attic. They're kind of creepy though, starfish. So I tried to return this starfish to the sea, but I couldn't. And then you know what's a side effect, I think, of all of us? So we would go to this same bay. It's like a little privately held, it's not ours, but it's like a little bay that everybody from like my dad's work would go to on vacation every year. It was super cheap. It was sort of like managed like a commune, because remember, we're communists over here. And it was really nice. And we all, like a lot of the parents had kids the same age, so it was actually really nice because you would just sort of vibe in there. And if you were a parent, you could just usually, you don't need every kid to have their parent there, especially because they all knew each other. So it was very common that like only 2 sets of parents would be around, you know, watching over like 6 families worth of kids. And the rest could take time off. They could go hiking. They could go do whatever they wanted to do as young adults. And so we got to do a lot of adventures. It's always nice to have like this like Adventureland as a kid, you know? And so that was it was a very pleasant time. And it must be nice for parents as well. And because it's the same place every year, you also have the same kids there every year. So you don't get that thing of like, I just befriended these kids over the course of a week and now I'll never see them again. So yeah, that was really fun. It was really fun. And What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the starfish. So a side effect of this, because we were there every year, because in the, like, even before the kids were born, in like the 80s, these people were already getting all of that. And you have to imagine this is like multiple families all hunting for starfish, among other things, starfish and clams and stuff. Now there's so many urchins. And, you know, I returned after a few years now in adulthood, and I was like, there's never been this many urchins. Like, there are some places where it's not even safe to swim in the shallower waters. I think we got everything because the shallow waters are just full of urchins, and you could just kick an urchin, and that's not pleasant. And so I went to look up why would there be a lot of urchins. Turns out starfish eat urchins, so we disrupted the cycle. We disrupted the cycle by killing the starfish or over hunting the starfish, and it resulted in an urchin bloom. So if you ever see a starfish in nature, admire it. You can even touch it probably. Don't touch it. But like, you can look at it. We used to just, what if are there starfish that will burn you? That's actually a good question, because as kids we would just pick that shit right up. But yeah, don't touch it, admire it from a distance, look at it move, and then leave it alone. Unless you want an ocean full of urchins. That's the lesson. Nature is for looking, not for disrupting. Also, I gotta say, another thing that's really important, you cannot leave your trash at the beach. And you can't leave your trash in a trash bag at the beach, in a trash can. Because you know what birds are really good at? Picking stuff from trash cans. Birds are really good at picking stuff from trash cans. So even if there's a trash can, there's going to be seagulls that are going to take stuff out of the trash cans. And then your beach is going to be full of stuff. Okay, let's take a look. Finds. There's more! Next wash up in 1 minute. Oh, maybe it's the kind of game where you gotta just wait. Yeah, you know what's also interesting? In some parts of the world, like in the Netherlands specifically, and also the UK, they look at seagulls as these like horrible, like trash, awful creatures that are violent and stuff. But over in the Mediterranean, at least where I'm from, seagulls are sort of romantic creatures. It's so interesting. For us, the sight of a seagull is like, romance, the ocean, warm holiday breeze. The seagulls are so free and we are not free, and the seagulls glide and dive and they're gorgeous and free. Whereas like if you talk to a Dutch person, they're like, seagulls are assholes. And I have a question for the Dutch. Are the seagulls really assholes? Or did you just settle everywhere where they used to live and hunt? And so you've completely encroached on their territory? And now they are trying to eat human food in order to survive? Are the seagulls the assholes? Or are we the assholes? Because over by the Mediterranean, where we haven't really encroached so much into their territory, seagulls never really come near humans. Maybe in the more touristy places they do, because tourists are messy and they leave a lot of food, and so the seagulls are like, nice, free shit. But over by us, I've never been like, oh no, a seagull. I always see it in the distance and I'm like, oh, to be free as a seagull. Where's the next wash up? So there is a wash up. We gotta look. Something's washed up somewhere. This is very relaxing. I think it's nice. See, this is what I mean. Little Sokpop games. They're so cool. There's a couple different ones and every one of them is different. And one of the things that the Sokpop collective does is... Okay, so it's really cool. It's really, really cool. They are a collective of 4 different developers, but they don't actually develop together. They essentially work together as a collective, but they are independent projects for the most part. So every time one of them comes out, it's done by a different person of the collective, and they now release one game per month. So basically each person has 4 months to come up with their next thing. And it's really cool. I think it's such a great environment to just experiment and thrive. They have a Patreon and they have some other stuff. But now that they're releasing on Steam, I read that like Steam is most of their income. So if you want to check out their stuff, I will link to this game and also to their chat, like their whole page on Steam. I think Sokpop is just really, really nice. I wonder if these wash-ups happen even if the game is turned off, and then you load in and there's just new stuff washed up. This is really zen. I think I actually really like the idea of just like a chill. Imagine if you took this idea, spent a little bit more time on it, made it, I think actually the graphical style is nice, added some like chill music, and yeah, maybe just like objectives of like, I mean not active objectives, but just a trash can and also the ocean, and then things wash up and you're just like a little sand beast separating the trash from the things that belong in nature. I think that actually sounds pretty zen. So yeah, I think this is nice. I hope that you enjoyed this. I think we're gonna call it here. I had a really wonderful time. Let's get into a nice. Ooh. Our head is gone. I hope you enjoyed this little video. There's more to find, I think. Yeah. Oh. More to find. But yeah. Go check out Ute. I don't know. Ute on Steam and support Sokpop. I really like Sokpop, and it always, whenever I'm playing their games, it makes me want to make games, which I think is, I don't know, I think it's so cool. Look at the way this ocean is made as well. I'm just looking at this and I'm again thinking, this is made in Game Maker. How do they do it? That's so fun. I love game development. I think games should be more like this. I kind of miss, I don't know if any of you are this age that you would find like these old games that you would launch a game and you didn't, there wasn't like genres as much as just like, this is an idea somebody had and they made it. And I remember you would like load up a game, and oftentimes the game at the start, the starting screen would be like, hi, my name is Steven McSteven and I made this game. If you would like to support me, here's my address and you can send me your support or whatever. Like, here's my account or something, or like a phone number. I remember some games had a phone number in there. And it was just like, yep, you know, this is pre-internet. So you imagine you make a game and you don't even publish it. There weren't like game outlets. So how would you float your game around the world? It would basically be shared. A lot of them were shared by students, you know, that had access to computers, and maybe you're an exchange student. So you bring your American game to Europe with your like floppy disk, and then you give it to a friend and then they copy it to another floppy disk. There was no DRM and floppy disks were overwritable. So it was really easy to just share stuff. And I'm thinking that like a lot of the games that I played as a kid on my DOS computer, which we lost one of them, but one of my DOS computers is still around. I'm thinking that some of those games, how many of those games did other people play? You know, because you would go visit a friend in the 90s and they would have their dad's computer and it had different games on it entirely. You know, especially here, because this was like post-Yugoslavia. But there wasn't like, the markets weren't as open. There wasn't as much foreign stuff before that in the 80s and stuff. So A lot of games that people know from like the 80s and 90s, I just never saw. I mean, obviously some of them I did, like Golden Axe was great, and a lot of others were really nice that I remember. But some games were just like, oh yeah, some dude made this in their basement, and it just started circulating. And you would play it for hours and hours. And they might not even be on the internet. So yeah, I think I might at some point do a little series trying to dig up some of the games that I loved as a kid. Maybe we'll do like that. But for now, I hope that you enjoyed the first entry in Sokpop season. And this was a little bit ramblier. I kind of enjoyed reminiscing here on the beach. And I hope that you had some joy watching this. Thank you for your time, and thank you for spending your time with me. If you would like to check out some of my other videos, I do Let's Plays of all sorts of games. I do like first looks and demos and stuff. But I also have a couple series of city builders, management games, colony sims, that kind of stuff. Go check all of that out. And you can also come to twitch.tv/lelling, where I stream 5 times a week, and say hi there. Thank you so much. Most importantly, oh yeah, if you did really enjoy this, tell a friend, share it. Put it somewhere, you know, because YouTube isn't going to. So if you would like to help me, that's the best way to do it. I hope that you have a good rest of your life. Stay solidary, support independent developers with cool ideas. Check out Sokpop stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a nice rest of your life. Stay solidary. Goodbye.